Hi! I heard you come in. Greetings and welcome to Ask That Dullahan with a Leotard. Are you jealous of other people's success? That's a very stupid question. Of course I'm not. What, just because I'm doing parodies of internet shows for my intros, it somehow means I'm jealous? Even 15 years since I started this channel, I haven't felt anything envious about them. Really, I'm more jealous of bigots who get more success than minorities like me, but that's just my anarchist mind telling you that. Then why are you ripping off Ask That Guy with the glasses? I'm not. I'm actually ripping off Ask a Ninja. You wanna know how I got this car? Oh look, it's another milestone game. This time, a much earlier game from 2005. Jeez, I expected earlier. Squadra Corse Alfa Romeo was released to the Xbox, PS2, and PC back in May of that year in Europe. The console versions got an American release the next year under a different title, Alfa Romeo Racing Italiano. Ugh, the only word I know in this darn title is the word racing. So I'll bet it's some liberal comic ploy to teach kids about critical race theory, and I'm not having that. Man, I'm glad Lauren is in this house, or I'll be in trouble. If you don't know what Alfa Romeo is, it's a car brand. What more do we want us to say? Everything? So help me gods. The name Alfa Romeo is actually a combination of Anonima Lombarda Fabbrica Automobili and the last name of entrepreneur Nicola Romeo. It was founded as Alfa in 1910 until Nicola took over the company and converted its factory for the war effort. After the war, they continued to make cars, and they did some of the most beautiful cars you and I will most likely never see them proper in person for civilian or motor racing use. Close enough. Then Mussolini happened, then World War II happened, then the rust problems plagued their cars, then Fiat bought them, and then tried to make your shitty crossovers history into an NFT. Rude. I stand by my point. But anyways, Airy! I'll be playing the PAL PS2 version for the video. It's much easier to get it to work and better to look at compared to the PC version on Windows 10. The HUD looks like shit here. I tried to fix it but nothing works. So I hope you don't mind a muddy picture throughout the video. Renderware, the Unreal Engine for console games, before EA decided to make it proprietary forever. The intro is standard racing game fare, just replay footage with music playing over it. Nothing special to be honest, but it's better than the Corvette intro. I still can't get over that snooze fest. The menu is very simple, but the items placed vertically. I like simple. The first two options aren't simple to get at first, but the gist is that Dynasty mode is career mode, while instant action is quick race, which is self-explanatory. Though at the start, there's only one track, Laguna Seca, and one car, the Facelift 147, so obviously you have to play Dynasty mode to get the content. And believe me, it's not what you think it would be. Shit, online multiplayer is here too, powered by a dead servers of course. Modders will always find a way to resurrect it somehow. Let's just get to the bottom of the game. There you are. Presentation talk, and boy do I love it, the visuals especially. For a PS2 game, the cars look great without much inaccuracies. It's quality compared to the Need for Speed games of its time, which only makes me disappointed that Milestone half-assed it with some of the cars in Evolution GT. Look at the freaking Corvette there! Tiny taillights like it's the Skyline in Test Drive 6, and it's the cover cow for the American version! Maybe leave it in the oven a little longer next time. I do love the scenery in the tracks, both in the real tracks and the fictional ones too. Why am I saying fictional in quotes? You'll know later. It's colorful and pleasant to see them. Milan isn't my favorite about how drab it looks and how bits of the track look bland as well. The track being wide compared to the actual streets of Milan are is probably the reason why. At least when Bizarre Creations did the same with the alleyways of Barcelona, they didn't overdo it. Sicily has to be my favorite. I just love the weed feels integrated into the track. Sadly, no widescreen option. The only settings for video is to adjust the screen position. Boring. Now I have to bring up the NTSC version of SCAR. Normally I wouldn't give a shit unless there's some goodies and differences no matter how small. I don't complain about a PAL game running at 50 FPS though, but in this case I praise it, because the American version actually sucks in comparison. The biggest difference between the two is that the races in the NTSC version run at 30 FPS. Like, how is that even possible? I expect that sort of stuff when comparing versions on different consoles. This is just a bizarre display of confusion I'm seeing. It's like learning that Fanta in the US doesn't actually have orange juice in it. While I don't mind 30 FPS, I'd say the PAL version is the best. As for audio, they're alright, not the best. For example, the 155 race cars do resemble the real versions, but only just. Just a bit of improvement on the sound mixing would be nice, but I don't mind in its current form. I quite like the exhaust banks in the race cars too. Not as ear-shattering as the many countrymen in Seb Loeb Riley Evo though. The menu bits are quite nice. The countdown though sounds a bit sinister, if that's the right word. As for music, oh fuck, we have ourselves a Sonic CD situation here. The European version features remixes of Ennio Morricone's work, including 2 different remixes of Del Mare, a song that was used for the 1974 movie The Secret. I'm quite fond of its soundtrack due to how smooth it sounds without ruining much of it. And since this is the same guy who did the music for Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns like The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, it takes a lot of restraint to not include a remix of Ecstasy of Gold. At least there's Blur. Then you have the America version, which is songs aren't listed in NFS soundtrack, so that's a pain to track down the tracks. 2 of the many tracks are soothing in a way, while the other one, which isn't known according to this comment, gives me vibes of Kabuki's remix of Del Mare, just a little less produced. The replay music is similar to the European version in terms of the beats, except for one. Okay, that is giving me vibes of Kabuki's remix of Del Mare. But what these soundtracks have in common, aside from the race finish jingle, is that none of them play in the races. Yup, it's 4th Street racing all over again. There's no racing music in here. It only plays in the menu and the replays. Maybe I shouldn't complain much since there are racers that don't have music during your races, mainly rally games where you have to listen to your co-driver, but I don't know, it feels empty without music, forcing me to use my phone or whatever as a jukebox. It sucks, man. Oh well. The driving is simulated with a more emphasis on the simulation side. The handling feels heavy but not too difficult to drive. Sure, with traction control off, you're more prone to drifting and snap oversteering, as well as wheels locking up on old cars, even when ABS on. God, it's annoying. But overall, it's a good attempt at being realistic in a way. You get punished a lot if you try to take advantage by crashing into the back of the cars. Surprising, coming from Milestone. I love that you can look back by pressing both the L1 and R1 buttons, much like Driver in the PS2 GTA games. Though I don't like this close cam, it reminds me of GT3, which is to say that it isn't a compliment for me. It's so close to the ground that you can't see much on the way. Plus, the swaying when going through corners is kinda sickening. I'm glad there's a camera that's higher. Downside is the text blocking the way. I'll get to that. I will say that the opponents are a bitch in Dynasty mode. As you progress further, the rubber banding sets in. You might think that a car wrapping up will be it for them, but hold your horses. In a few minutes, the car will come back swinging and catch up to you, trying to take the lead no matter what. It always gives me a false sense of security, doesn't it? At times, I can't figure if I'm actually going further away or getting closer, and most of the time, it's actually the former. And I keep questioning myself if I'm being too careful with the corners and don't leave them quickly. Well, it's mostly not my fault, but I'll get there in a bit. Now I know what you're thinking. This is just a regular-ass racing game. What's the gimmick here? Why are you playing music from RPGs? And what are these numbers up there? Does that say XP? Well, it's time to talk about Dynasty mode in detail. To cut it short, Squadra Corse is actually an RPG. And I don't mean RPG like Forza, no, it's a proper RPG. With level ups, start upgrades, clothes that change your stats and everything. It even has a health count for your car and yourself, though the latter isn't what you expect. At the start, you can only give a point to heart, which is your driving condition, vision, which determines your tiger effect, which I'll get to that later, and intimidation. I sure am glad Lauren isn't in this house. Yeah. It turns out Dynasty mode is where the gimmicks are. First up is how you get execution, I mean experience points. You accumulate it by doing feats in a race, like passing cars, tailgating them, getting clean laps, leading the race, the works. And you earn them after finishing the race. The XP you earn may be small, but it scales as you progress, like a traditional RPG. Whenever you level up, you earn one upgrade point for you to level up a skill. There is another way to earn them, and it's by beating a special driver in a race. These can take a while to catch up to them, but it's so satisfying past them and actually winning the race. Not only that, but surpassing a threshold of XP you earn throughout the game unlocks cars and tracks for instant action, while winning enough or knocking out enough drivers unlocks racing gear, but those aren't the only ways to earn them, of course. Dynasty mode has the tours and the challenges. The former is where you get XP, and there's 5 difficulty sections of them, each with 4 subtypes. The first one are the XP events, which are money for earning experience, while the gear events are where you must win to earn, well, gear to wear. They both have races that last for 3 laps, whereas the rest lasts for 6 in your tournaments, and 9 for the championship. The last 2 categories give you cars if you win, or as the game calls it, Storm. Milestone must have corrected for swords when making the menus, huh? Not for long when Evolution GT came out, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Every 5 levels unlock a royalty upgrade, which includes handling and acceleration. It's best if you upgrade them before you complain too much about the opponents. Before starting a race, you must check what skills your opponents are the best at, and if you see them having some high points on acceleration and or intimidation, now you know why the opponents make you their bitch. When you race in Dynasty mode, you notice these 2 icons and numbers on your right. The left icon is the driver's condition, while the right is the car's condition. The latter is self-explanatory, the game has car damage, visually even. If you crash or get off the track, that number gets lower and lower until it reaches 0, which means you retire from the race. It's certainly a way to make mechanical damage, and honestly, I like it that way. It makes the game challenging, forcing you to be more careful with your car, even if it still runs fine at 1 car health. Now, if I have to talk about the former part, I must talk about intimidation. If you've played NASCAR 05, this might sound familiar, even if it doesn't require pressing a button to activate it. You simply take out another driver close enough for the green bar to deplete. That's their driver condition, by the way. Once the bar is gone, they get knocked out, which makes the driver do a little twist and might, just might, spin out. That's cool and all, but sometimes I see other drivers spin out without the need to intimidate, so really this is better for grinding XP and successful knockouts. Unlike NASCAR 05, you also get intimidated, noted by the heartbeat and flashing helmet icon. Once that number hits 0, you get hit with a screen effect. And as you can guess, it's really annoying, both the heartbeat and the blurry image. To be honest, I can still see what's on the road anyway. It's like the blooper from Mario Kart when I'm on the receiving end. It just doesn't work well on actual drivers. So remember when Codemasters implemented the rewind feature in Race Driver Grid? Well, say hello to the earliest known implementation of one in a racing game. When you have at least one of this thing, you get to press triangle and it reverses time to about a few meters. At first it is very useless, but of course, once you upgrade, it'll turn back further and still be mostly useless. Plus, it increases the maximum capacity of the Tiger Effect by decimals, which is actually good because the Tiger Effect recharges very slowly through the race. Yeah, this isn't like how modern races have. This one is real limited. I guess you could say the Brits made it easier. The British ruin everything. Thankfully, its spiritual sequel source, Evolution GT, mitigates that by giving you a lot of time to go back to, at the cost of having you hold the button instead. Are you reviewing that game too? I thought this mod was only about one-make racing games. Shit. Clothing isn't just for show. Well, it isn't for show since you don't see your driver well, but the gear you collect can have changes to your stats which make or break your chances of winning. When min-maxing the upgrades is enough or you can't reset your skills, you can always count on the clothing. Another way to earn gear is through the challenges from Steel to Platinum, unlocked every 5 levels. Every medal contains 5 challenges. First is the speed traps. Much like in Most Wanted or Test Drive Unlimited, you must get over a certain speed to get through the trap. If you ever go under the required speed, you instantly lose. It can be easy with slow cars, but faster cars like the 155 DTM make them a pain in the ass to win. Top limit is like speed trap, only you have to drive over required speed in a zone instead of a trap. And like that, if you ever so slightly go under while in it, instant loss. Clean race is just a standard race, except your car is extremely weak, so you better not eat as much as possible. Oh, don't worry, I'm very careful in my driving. Chase is where you must pass an opponent and be ahead of them for 7 seconds until time runs out, and escape is where you must not get past until time runs out or cross the finish line. The last two are fairly easy honestly, especially the escape ones. Top limit, I don't like it ever since I tried the first one. It's challenging of course, but also frustrating. You're glad that Playground Games made the speed zones in Forza Horizon to be about average speed, aren't you? Not really, I never really liked those in the first place. There's also a mod I forgot to mention, and it's Time Assault, a game with the Thesaurus. It's time attack where you pick a car and track unlocked. Or at least it tries to be. For some reason the timer doesn't stop when I cross the starting line, not even after I did a lap. Weird. Oh well, at least I can stop and see the 2005 Eurocheck level beauty on my screen. Anyway, the car list of course consists of Alfa Romeo cars, from the 147 to the SC Competizione, which at the time of the game's release was still a concept car. I'm glad there's some unique looking inclusions here, like the 332 Daytona, the SZ, and the Nuvola concept car. There's even the Alphasud, that cute little rust-prone thing. There's been a myth that in the 70s, Alfa used Soviet Russian steel to build their cars, which is why they rust easily. However, there isn't any evidence to prove that. Basically, every car at the time rusted easily. Sure, Fiat, their parent company, did sell the rights and tooling to the Soviet Union since the 60s, so they can build cars. Problem is, Fiat didn't own Alfa Romeo until the 80s, and Fiat never got paid in Russian steel anyway. Sorry for the detour. I'm fairly disappointed in the omission of a few cars like the Montreal and the Alphasud Sprint, though I love that it can have different liveries for the race cars. The tracks, all but one having 2 layouts each, are a mix of real licensed ones, city tracks, and quote, original tracks, unquote. Let's get the last part out of the way. Look at the Veneto track, both the short and full layouts. Check the map closely, and check its elevation as well. See it, have it seeped in your mind. Now, does this layout look like a mirrored A1 ring to you? Because it looks like a mirrored Red Bull ring to me. And Sicily is a mirrored Oschersleben as well. And Campagna? A bit obscure because I expected it to have been based on a European track, but it's actually the Sugo circuit in Japan, mirrored and reversed. Which is funny because the track in its form back then never had a shorter layout, not even today. Just chicane for the bike races. But Tuscany? Fucking Nürburgring! Now sure, getting the licenses to those tracks might have been too difficult and they're all prohibitively expensive to get, even for Milestone, so they recreated the layout, flipped it, and made a different scenery around them, the same strategy game Loeb did for the first Asphalt. But even then, I'm surprised none of the track's owners sued Milestone and published a black bean for plagiarism. Then again, Polyphony recreated the Monaco track down to the scenery and landmarks, but changed the pay line layout and called it something else for Gran Turismo 3 through 6, and they somehow got away with it, so it doesn't matter much as long as you don't call it by its actual name. Aren't loopholes fun? The rest of the tracks are great to drive. There's Valencia, the actual racetrack and not the abandoned street course, Hockenheim Ring, Laguna Seca, and Donington Park, which is a surprise to see. Rather short list of licensed tracks here with its shorter layouts. Surprised there isn't a single licensed Italian track here, couldn't fit once in it at least. Too expensive license, not enough time to make, who knows. The city tracks, I don't enjoy them as much. It's mostly square corners and really sharp corners, especially in the forensic tracks. Plus, they're wide, which is why they're not as fun. I don't know what else to say. I could at least try checking the online menu, but I don't have an Ethernet port on my hard drive adapter to even do that. Squadra Corse Alfa Romeo is too good to be considered bad, but too bad to be considered great. Let me try that again. Scar is mid. It has a great concept and even potential to be a good game, but at its state, it's just average. The races can be so long it can get boring, the challenges are a mixed bag of varying frustration levels, the audio can get annoying, the video can get annoying, and overall, for a mid-tier licensed game, there just isn't enough content to justify the rather long playtime. I really wanted to like this game, but it just isn't for me unfortunately. Damn, I can't believe I said the word mid, I feel dirty. Next time, it's Porsche Unleashed! Again! Sort of. This is that dual hump with the leotard saying, the Revenant bitch is your hookup, holla if you hear me.